Hello interwebs and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of the series premiere of a show that I've been very excited to see finally come out. It's gone through a lot of development hell to finally get here, and that is the show Snowpiercer, based on both the graphic novel Snowpiercer. I think it might have actually had a different name in graphic novel form, but I'm not 100% on that. But as well, the movie by Bong Joon-ho, who many may know from his film Parasite, which won the Best Picture Oscar this year, his film Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer, the movie, was one of my favorite movies when it came out. It was a wonderful discussion about class in a really cool sci-fi wrapper and starred one of my favorite actors of all time, Chris Evans. I adore Chris Evans with all my heart, especially because he's Captain America, and Captain America is my heart and soul. Sorry, as a Star Trek fan, I just have a thing for morally straight Boy Scoutish kind of characters. That's just my thing. Superman's up there, you know, Captain Kirk, Captain Pike, they're all kind of in there. They're my favorites. Anyways, sorry for that diatribe, but yes, that movie was one of my favorites because it was a political, like Star Trek is, it's a political, very clearly political science fiction allegory story about class and class structures. So when I heard that the show was going to get a TV adaptation, I was very excited. I'm not someone who's like, how dare you make an adaptation of my show? Because I'm always generally excited to see spin-offs of things that I love, because I'm always like, maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad, but it'll be interesting. I generally like to see things be interesting, whether they're good or bad. And so when I heard Snowpiercer was coming out, I was on the crowd of, let's just see. Make it. Why not make it? Why not make it, and why not see how it comes out? Because it's not going to ruin my love of the original. I'm still going to love Snowpiercer whether it's bad or good. So I wanted to do this review because I was just so excited for the show. Plus, I'm kind of getting jonesing for like doing a review of an actual show because we haven't had Star Trek in a while. So let me know if you want me to continue with these reviews going forward, or if you don't really care at all or anything like that. But anyways, now that I've given enough preamble to all of this, let's actually dive into the series premiere. Was it actually good? Did it measure up to the movie? Well, first things first, this movie, or this show, inherently has kind of a problem in adapting the story of the movie, in the sense that the movie clearly has a very clear singular story and endpoint to it. It was about a revolution of these people that pushed their way to the front of the train and going through like different class structures and basically quite literally moving up in class as they went through the train. With a TV show that is, you know, meant to be one that's, you know, it's not supposed to be a finite miniseries like Watchmen's supposed to be, you kind of have to find a way to keep that story going perpetually, endlessly, as the train does. So how do you tell a story about a thing that is very clearly has an endpoint, but somehow manage to churn the wheels, all the train metaphors, for a little while? And so how this show decides to do it is basically, in a very strange way, make it a cop procedural show, where our main character is a person who is left at the back of the train. He's a tailie and wants to start a revolution, just like in the movie, to move the people in the lower class all the way forward to the front of the train and actually fight for their rights. Basically a very like communist workers unite, let's destroy the rich, eat the rich sort of message. But the show delays that moment. Clearly it starts off very similarly, where they take this character who used to be a beat cop, a detective, and help pull him up front to solve a murder that is going on in the front of the train. And I was very skeptical when I first saw people talking about that a few weeks ago, when first reviews, kind of spoiler-free reviews, came out about the show. I was like, a cop show? That seems like a really weird sort of take on Snowpiercer. And I saw a lot of reviews that were kind of negative based on that idea. But now myself, having actually watched the show, I actually am cautiously optimistic for where this story is going to go, because what I really liked about it was it allows this cop story, allows our character to kind of have our cake and eat it too. We get to have a sort of interesting mystery, because I think it's only going to be maybe 1 or 2 murders on the show. It's not going to be like a new murder every week. It's one murder that this guy's trying to solve. So it is still a serialized story. And it also sets up interesting dynamics between him and the revolutionaries at the back of the train. In the original movie with Chris Evans, everyone was kind of working towards the same goal. It was the tailies, the people in the lower class, trying to push their way forward, and Chris Evans kind of was always on that side. But with his character getting pulled forward, he has the chance to escape the tail section, to abandon the people that he had come to grow up with and get to know, and progress himself forward. And so the question of the series going forward will be, will he betray them? Because he says at the end of the episode when they start a revolution and it fails, he's like, look, you go back there, I can take on this cop role, and I will start to learn things that can help us in the revolution. But I can kind of clearly see an arc where the people in the back will start to not trust him anymore because he is started becoming integrated with the upper class and starting to like being an upper class person and the things that sort of tie him to that. And so it's this interesting discussion of how class consciousness works and how we form bonds and can we change class consciousness. And the idea of like people lifting themselves up out of poverty comes into play as well. There are characters that can earn their way out of this back tail section. And so it's like this idea, like in America, is like you can, if you work hard enough, you can work your way out of poverty. But obviously it's not true that everyone can work themselves out of poverty. Yes, sure, maybe one or two people are allowed to move up because of, the luck of the draw. But most people living in poverty will not be able to escape it no matter how hard they work. It's just, again, the luck of the draw. So I really like how that dynamic is placed into this story, and I can clearly see it being played out here. That also being said, the other thing that this version of the show, and I'm sorry I'm comparing it to the movie, but it's kind of inherent in doing this, is that it's allowing us a little bit more sympathy for the people in the upper class. We start to learn a little bit more about the characters. I haven't learned everyone's names yet, but there's the lead cop guy who's a little bit more sympathetic and understanding to the tail section. He still kind of looks down on them, but when his lower cops start beating up on our main character, he steps in and is like, no, that's not how you can treat these people to get them to want to work with you. Clearly, he's kind of a bad guy, but there's a little bit more sympathy to him. We also see one of the head magistrate women who has a relationship with other characters, and she also kind of wants to keep things going smoothly and running smoothly. And she has this interesting monologue about a strawberry and how everything has its place. And honestly, back in the tail section, you don't have a place here. This strawberry has more of a place than you. So if you want to earn your place in society, you have to earn it. So it's this interesting, again, capitalist kind of discussion and class discussion about how we value people over objects and things in our perfect system, perfect capitalist system that we need to make sure we stay living, which is a whole other discussion too. But I like how it creates these dynamics and these ideologies within characters, and it is starting to make us sympathize with them as characters. And that was not something that we got in the movie, just because in 2 hours you don't have time to necessarily sympathize with that villain, and when you have so many other characters as well. So the kind of upper class people were very clearly vilified and very clearly just easy villains and caricatures of capitalists. So I'm curious, not that I necessarily want to agree with these people, but I am open to finding empathy and sympathy and nuance in their characters that the movie just didn't have time for. So honestly, with all that being said, I'm very cautiously optimistic about this show, and I'm actually very intrigued to see how it goes. Now, it could kind of eventually become very rote. I could easily see this being like, all right, it's an annoying cop procedural that's kind of boring, whatever, he's investigating, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But there's also a lot of chance to have really in-depth discussion about class and capitalism and politics within this framework that they've established, and very nuanced discussions of that. So if they keep pushing that forward, I'm very intrigued. If it kind of becomes like a whatever procedural, we're getting caught up in the weird nuances of this murder plot, then I'll be less interested. But as it stands, I'm actually cautiously optimistic. The last thing I want to touch upon is the interesting twist is that we got to see at the head of the train, Mr. Wilford, or guy who supposedly created the train, turns out to be a woman. Now, I don't really know how much to say about that, but the twist is that she calls herself Mr., but she's a woman, and no one has seen her, and no one knows what she looks like. And again, there's some interesting things that can be said about gender dynamics within that framework, but obviously that's just the twist that they had at the end of the episode, so I don't know if they're going to use that twist interestingly, or it's just like, oh, look, she's a woman, isn't that crazy? So you could have some interesting discussion about women in power dynamics, but we have to wait and see. So basically what I'm saying is this show, with the series premiere, in my opinion, has a lot of potential to really dive into some very interesting topics. But I could also very equally seeing it fall flat on its face very, very quickly. But like I said, cautiously optimistic. But what do you think? What did you think about the series premiere of Snowpiercer? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you agree with my review? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more reviews. Also, the other thing in the comments, let me know if you want me to continue these reviews. I'll probably at the very least do a season-long review when the season's done if I like the show enough. But if you want to see individual episode reviews, because I'm kind of jonesing to do stuff, let me know, and I might jump on them. It also depends on how well the video does. So let me know all that in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget you can help me out over on Patreon. Every little bit helps me pay the bills and things like that, so don't forget that. But regardless if you subscribe, comment, or give to my Patreon, I'm just glad that you stopped by and hope that you, as always, live long and prosper. Thank you all of you for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons, including my amazing commander level and above patrons, Miranda Janelle, Ashley Allen, Eli Berg-Moss, Sela Roman, Christina Dalliance, Greg Gillum, Stefan Schuhart, Boyd and Mary Beth Earl, Ish the Mad, Randy Thompson, Mouse Pounder, Wellington Marcus, Lorena Mesa, Alexander Miller, Mari Neckar, Gavin Robinson, Michael Beam, Aaron Brown, Munir Amlani, Maggie Evans, Maeve, Wendizzle Bizzle, Dante St. James, Wayne Twitchell, Patrick Shannon, Din Hagney, Mystic the Monarchete, Bree Beecher, and Polly Mina. All of your support means so much to me right now, so thank you to all of you. Live long and prosper.